Hi guys, this beautiful Mustang is Aella, and this is her story. I hope you enjoy. Meet Aella. She is a presumed to be 6-year-old Mustang. She is from the Conger Herd HMA in Utah, so that would be the area she was living at in the wild. And she was captured July 1st, 2016, and they guesstimated her age at that time to be about 2 years. She is a buckskin Mustang. Haven't actually got to measure her yet, but maybe about 14.2, maybe a little higher. She seems tall when you stand up next to her because she's got a high head carriage. The thing to know about Aella's HMA is that her roundup was considered maybe a little traumatic. So at least some horses were injured, maybe even killed in the roundup. So it was probably a very confusing and scary experience for her. After the roundup, Aella lived in the holding facilities of the BLM until November 3rd, 2018, when you might think she was adopted, but she was not. Aella was actually still authority or sold outright to her first owner. So if she is still authority, that means that she was passed over in at least 3 adoption events, whether online or in person. This also means that Aella didn't have the protection of a title, which for at least a year, if a Mustang has a title through BLM adoption, the BLM is going to know where they're at and what their quality of care is to some extent. Aella, as the new property of her owner, could literally be sold the next day, even in an auction setting, as soon as she's gone for the BLM facilities. So after being sole authority and being sold to a lady in Indiana, which is about all I can tell from her first owner, or all I know of, she then was passed on within a year to a gentleman who either bought or was given Aella. Before, there was a little bit of light in her life, and that would be what I'm going to call Aella's angel, and that is the previous owner that I received Aella from. But there is an interesting twist on how Aella's angel came into her life, and that is that when she got Aella, she thought she was getting a quarter horse cross. The gentleman had advertised her as a quarter horse cross, and when they went to look at her, he did some stuff on the ground with her, loaded up on the trailer just fine, and they took her home. Little did they know what they had on their hands, because very soon after having her home, it became apparent that she probably was under some sort of sedation when they first looked at her and brought her home, because it took at least 2 weeks just to get her haltered and out of the stall. So Aella's angel definitely figured out fairly quickly that this is not what she expected. And as she was kind of getting to know Aella, investigating, she found the Freeze brand under her mane. It is covered up by a pretty long mane, as well as if a winter coat kind of blends it in. And she even had to shave it to see the Freeze brand clearly in order to call the BLM and get a history on Aella. And for sure, as soon as she saw the Freeze brand, and then of course got it confirmed by the BLM, Aella is a Mustang and not a quarter horse cross. And though a Mustang was not what she planned on, she did take the time to try and work with Aella, getting her to be able to be haltered, let her in and out of her stall every day. Also got her to picking up her front feet. But there was just a lot of aspects to Aella, probably from her history of being bounced around, that she just didn't know how to overcome without having prior experience with working with Mustangs. As well as anyone who's worked with a Mustang knows it takes a lot of time, and if your circumstances of your life aren't set up for that, that can also be a hindrance. Which is when she went looking for a new home for Aella, and where I come into the story. I was not currently looking for a new Mustang project. I was doing what most of us do late at night, which is scrolling on Facebook, and up in my newsfeed popped pictures of Aella and the ad for her needing a new home with an experienced Mustang handler, trainer, owner. And I immediately called. So call that impulse control issues, but I couldn't help myself to learn more about her situation, and that's when I talked to Aella's angel. After talking initially and knowing that Aella's angel was really looking for a home where someone with Mustang experience could give Aella the time and resources needed to help this horse reach her full potential, and I shared my experience of working with Mustangs through Mustang makeovers and owning my own. We decided to meet in person. So I drove 2 hours in Indiana to meet Aella, and what I was really looking forward to was to see how Aella thinks. And is she a thinker, or is she just reactive? I already knew to expect what you expect in a fairly unhandled or untrained Mustang, which is very skittish, very reactive, not trusting of people. Aella's angel's done a lot to try and help her become settled, and you can definitely see that Aella trusted her, but Aella didn't trust people in general. The one word I would use to describe Aella when I first met her is confused. Confused by this human world, and with confusion comes fear. So, very insecure horse about what's expected of her in this human world, and doesn't know what to expect from us. Even though I could read the confusion in Aella, I could also read her ability to think. She is very smart. A lot of times people confuse a reactive, sensitive horse with just crazy and only reactive. Well, that's not always the case, especially with unhandled Mustangs. You just have the battle of fear with trying to process and learn, again, what's expected of them in this human world. Aella is going to be a challenge. You're going to hear more on that in her next video about training in week 1, and I'll explain more of how Aella thinks and what I'm learning from her, and hopefully what she's learning from me. But this journey has just began, and I am excited to see where it takes us.